Tech scams, identity thieves, data leaks. Hearing about these online threats every day can be stressful. But don't worry. McAfee Total Protection is here to help you live a worry-free life online. What does worry-free mean? Well, it means you won't have to wonder if that text message is a scam, if new threats will pop up on your PC, or if you're safe from identity theft. Visit McAfee.com/online protection today to get award-winning online protection for just $39.99 your first year. That's McAfee.com/online protection. Cancel anytime. Terms apply.
Welcome to an exclusive episode of Mind Love. Today's episode is all about living with ADD and ADHD.
One of my favorite lines and quotes is from Alice in Wonderland when the Cheshire Cat is sitting in the tree and says, like, no one's normal here. That idea that I don't think anyone's normal. I think we all have our stuff that brings to the table. I learned how to kind of channel that energy to something that I cared about. Some people it's sports. Some people it's art, music, something creative. And the way ADD or ADHD works is that it is a creative vibe that is going through your body and your mind. It needs to have an outlet to use. And that's why CEOs of companies, a lot of them have ADD or ADHD because they need to be that creative mind to run a company and be successful.
You guys, I'm about to blow your mind. Did you know 11% of school-age kids now have been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD? And the diagnoses get even more prevalent with age. 19% of high school-age boys supposedly have ADHD. It hasn't always been this way. In fact, the numbers nearly doubled from the late 90s to the late 2000s. My first thought is obviously, why? I have my own theories, of course, as I do with nearly everything. First, I think we live in a culture that overprescribes. And I also think that pumping babies with dozens of vaccinations has correlated with some very interesting mental and physical health trends. And before you call me some conspiracy theorist anti-vaxxer, actually do the research beyond a surface-level Google search, or worse, the CDC guidelines. They are corporate funded and they do not have your best interest at heart. It's not about being against the idea of vaccines. It's about being for safe vaccines, which the current industry does not have. And even the laws in place make it almost impossible to have safe vaccinations. They've stigmatized the term anti-vaxxer so that people won't even look further than what they're being told. Evil genius, really. And for anyone who wants to debate me on that, first, I'd recommend the documentaries Vaxxed 1 and 2 for a good overview. And if you want deeper research, look into the 10-part documentary, The Truth About Vaccines. And you know, it's also funny how most people know that the pharmaceutical industry has tons of problems and conflicts of interests. But when it comes to vaccines, they've been so brainwashed against questioning them, they will suddenly defend the pharmaceutical industry tooth and nail. But this episode is not about vaccines. It's just a tangent I am always willing to go down. I've done so much research there, I could spew facts for hours. Anyways, back to ADD and ADHD. I also think we're living in a culture that breeds ADD tendencies. Think about it. Even elementary-age children are grabbing for an iPhone or iPad every few seconds. My tech addiction can be really bad, and I was probably the last generation who played outside and still had landline phones. Actually, I did have a cell phone in high school. I was one of only a handful of kids, but you know, playing Snake and texting through a number pad can only be so addicting. Imagine if your brain was still in its major development phase with all the constant stimulation of an iPhone. The apps on an iPhone are designed to give your brain a dopamine hit. I know, I worked in the industry. And dopamine is the same chemical that's released during a drug binge. So we are actually addicted to tech. And we wonder why so many of us pick up a book and can barely read half a page without checking Facebook again. So we've screwed ourselves a bit, but what do we do from here? Just stay medicated? I've had a weird history with ADD. I was on shit tons of Adderall for about a decade, which itself was addicting. And the hardest part, I think, is that it created a self-belief that I couldn't focus without it, something that I still need the tools to work through to this day. So I've decided to live holistically. I found I can completely manage this on my own. And by completely, doesn't mean that I don't still have difficult days, but come on, who isn't distracted and unmotivated sometimes? Instead of just leaning towards a medication to fix me, I started to think, what if these so-called disorders were actually just a means of guidance towards habits that would help me live my best life? I found that my diet, my habits, my self-belief, my intention, and maybe even most importantly, getting really clear about my why. All of those things have made more of a difference than legally prescribed methamphetamines ever did. So today, we're going to be having a discussion on ADD and how to cope. Just two adult ADD kids figuring shit out. Our guest is Ellie Weinstein. He's a social work therapist who's gone through his own struggles with anxiety, ADHD, and men's issues. And he has firsthand experience leading children through this journey as well. So we're just going to have an open dialogue about what's worked for us and what could possibly help you. Hey there, wild minds. So this was just a preview, but you can access the whole episode with a Mind Love Premium membership. If Mind Love has been helpful to you in any way, consider helping support the show by joining this exclusive community. I promise I'm making it totally worth it. You get exclusive episodes, which means twice the Mind Love, in a private feed that imports right to your favorite podcast app, so you don't have to go to the web to listen. And that's not all. You also get all Mind Love episodes ad-free for uninterrupted listening. You get early access to episodes, and you get bonus video interviews and powerful meditation downloads. And finally, you get priority access to me, so you're free to reach out to me with any questions that you have about life, love, relationships, success, whatever it might be. And in more good news, you can get started free with a 2-week free trial. Just go to mindlove.com/premium. And if you're a student, reach out to me on Instagram and I'll give you a special discount.